Hi, hey, it's Joe. It's Monday. It's week 9, and this week we're talking about binding. This is a difficult topic because on the one hand, I want to be like, binding, yay, because binding makes life for me, and for a lot of fellas, I think makes life so much easier and better. And I would be uncomfortable going out in any of my clothes if it weren't for binding. So binding, yay, awesome, and obviously we're very lucky that we have access to, like, most of us I think have access to actual binders and stuff and can afford to get them and whatnot. On the other hand, binding is a pain in the rear end. It's very uncomfortable and hot and annoying and difficult, and for me, it's very stressful knowing that there's something that I have to be very strategic about when I put in the wash, because I only have one binder that I actually wear, and obviously if it's in the wash I just can't leave the house. That's kind of quite frightening to me. Anyway, it's a bit of a weird thing to say. Frightened of... So yeah, binding. I... The first sort of like kind of binding that I did, as I mentioned in one of my videos, was before I had acknowledged that I was having any sort of gender trouble properly. I was sort of makeshift binding without actually acknowledging that I was doing this. Like I'd been wearing this like tiny sports bra for ages and layering and whatnot. And I remember an instance, like just after or just before Glastonbury, just before I think Glastonbury last year, when, not the one just gone, obviously the one before, where I went back to uni. I think I went back to Warwick to move a pan of pasta off my window ledge that I had accidentally left there, and which was like mouldering away. So gross. You didn't need to know that. But anyway, that's the kind of person I am. So I had to go back to move this gross pan of pasta off my window ledge before it got to be a serious health hazard. And I got changed to go and like do something, go and get something from the library, and I remember I came back to my room like 2 times to change into another bra because nothing that I went out in felt comfortable. I felt like my boobs were like flying everywhere and were like really visible, and I was just like, oh my god, that was like breaking point of I'm very, very uncomfortable with my chest and I actually should probably acknowledge it. So, so a little while after that I bought an actual binder. The first binder I bought was like was from FTMKingdom. It was like a 9, no, like a, I don't know. I can put the links anyway. The first binder I bought was a FTMKingdom binder, one of the like short ones, and I was pretty happy with it, but like not super happy. For kind of reference sake, I have some serious chestage. Last time I was buying bras, last time I checked, I was like an E or an F. So I have like some serious chest here. So binding is quite difficult for me, which is weird because I'm such a tiny person, but then I just have these ridiculous, it's just bad luck. So I get to be short and have big tits. So it's like, thanks genetics, that's awesome. I don't even get to like be a big guy with it. Anyway, I'll not keep going about that. So yeah. So it's quite difficult for me to bind. So the FTMKingdom binder, it was okay, and like, obviously it was my first binder, so I didn't have anything to compare it to, so I was quite happy, and I was like, this is great, this does so much better than like, layering in a sports bra, so I was happy. But then I got gradually less happy, and, I'm never ever happy with my chest anyway, with what it looks like. No matter how flat it actually objectively is, I'm constantly self-conscious, and I'm constantly looking in the mirror and thinking I'm not flat enough. But anyway, so I was pretty unhappy with it after a while, and I decided maybe that I just needed to size up, or maybe I just needed to get like one of their more expensive binders. So I bought the more expensive version of their binder, and I got it in the next size so that it kind of covered more, because I had like a bit of pit boob happening, in the hopes that that would be better, and it was just like not better at all. It cost me like £50, and I was really pissed off because it just really wasn't very good. So for me, FTKingdom didn't really work out. Then, after that, I kind of decided, well, I'm going to try a different company. Everyone wears Underworks. Why didn't I just try Underworks to begin with? I bought a tri-top. I put it on and I wanted to cry. I was so happy with it. I was like, oh my god. For a start, because it's so much more comfortable. Oh my god. I've since put a FTKingdom binder back on once while I was washing this one. For like a little while, and I don't understand how I used to go around my day wearing that. I do not understand. It's so uncomfortable. Not only is it, the material is much less forgiving, like it's much more difficult to breathe, it's also much more like a rough material, and it like scratches your nipples off. It's like fucking horrible. So yeah, so I now just like don't even understand how I wore it. I'm super, super happy with my tri-top. Although it's getting a little bit loose now because I'm just tumble dry it. I don't bother. I wasn't aware that to begin with. Oh, my hands are so sweaty and gross. I wasn't aware to begin with that tumble drying it would be bad. Would like make it. I thought it would make it like shrink smaller, so I did that. But actually, that does bad things to the elastic and makes it not as tight. So, but anyway, I've had it for like a while now, like a good, I'm going to say 6 months or longer, and for it to last that long while I'm tumble drying it, and then considering that they're not actually very expensive Underworks binders, you know, in relatively not so expensive, that's not really a problem for me. I think that's pretty great that it's only now, and having used it, you know, abused it, that I'm having to buy a new one. So for me, and I would recommend, I think, for other big-chested guys, the tri-top is, I think, as good as you're going to get. It really sort of, I think it works really, really well. Other things about binding. I have once bound with Ace Bandages, but that was like for drag. I went in drag, like really bad drag, to Pride. Obviously before I was out as trans. And I really wanted to bind for that, and I tried, and it was just like a terrible failure because they're not that great at binding, and B, like I almost passed out. You just can't breathe. It's so uncomfortable and so hot, and just like, oh my god, to do that even for a few hours, just like going to London for Pride and back, it almost perished. I highly, highly do not recommend ever doing that day to day, or at all really, if you can avoid it. Bandages, bad idea. What other experience do I have binding? Oh, here's an interesting thing. So there is some sort of discrepancy between where to put your chesticles under your binder, like where to position them. For a good long while, and especially with the FTKingdom binder, I was like tugging mine up and outwards, because I feel, and I do still sort of feel this way, I feel more comfortable with the... Okay, like I'm always going to have some bulge. I mean, everyone is, but especially like I have big chests. So I'm always going to have a bulge no matter where they are. And for a long time I was much more comfortable having them pulled up, because at least then the bulge is in the right place in terms of if they were just massive pecs. That's where they'd be, so I feel more comfortable, not for what it looks like really, but for what it feels like for me. I prefer having them up, because then I'm less aware that they're there, and I can feel in myself like they're just pecs. But I decided that, you know, having done careful studies and taken pictures, which is really sad of me, and I wish I hadn't admitted that, you do obviously look flatter if you push them down and out. I still don't like it because I know, I can feel them, and I feel like it's kind of uncomfortable having them like sitting there like, and also because if there is a gust of wind and I'm wearing a tight shirt and it like pulls tight, then there's this weird bulge like halfway down my torso, and it's like really unattractive, and it's obvious that they couldn't in a million years be pecs, whereas if you have the bulge up here and there's a strong wind and you can see the bulge, then it could plausibly be pecs, as opposed to like mega droopy boobage. So yeah, that's a random little... I didn't make notes this week, I'm sorry. This is a bit of a mess. But I think that's about what I have to say about binding. Please don't use ace bandages. That's so dangerous and terrible, and you could crack ribs, you could puncture a lung through cracking a rib if you really went for it. Also, I mean, be careful how small your binders are and how long you wear them for. The general advice, I'm going to be a big hypocrite here and say the general advice is you shouldn't wear a binder for more than 8 to 12 hours. I bind for longer than that every day. But you know, I've sort of worked up to that. I used to be very careful about timing, and also I had to be more careful with the FTKingdom binder. With an Underworks binder, I don't have that much trouble breathing, and especially once you've gotten used to binding for a bit longer, you get used to the extra effort that it takes to breathe fully, and it's not really restricting your breath so much anymore. So yeah, but of course the other, like, golden rule is do not bind at night. Sleep apnea. You know what that is? You know what that is? That's when you just, like, stop breathing in your sleep and die. Don't bind in your sleep. It's a really bad idea. Really, really bad idea. Any other terrible, important things to say about binding? Have fun. Binding can be wonderful. Can make life okay for while you're, you know, getting by, waiting for surgery or whatever, if you want surgery. And try not to, if you are a fella like me who has, like, big Irish boobs, try not to hate guys with, like, A-cups. I know it's difficult. I struggle. I see a fella with, like, teensy A-cup boobs who can obviously bind, like, really easily, and I'm like, I hate you. It's very hard not to, but obviously I don't really. That's just good luck, and perhaps I'm lucky in other ways that they're not. I'm really rambling now. I'm just going to stop talking. I ate 5 hash browns this morning. Have a lovely week. Stay cool. Be good. Bye.